1 week and 5 days before the release of a book that I and reporter Alex Thompson wrote about the cover-up of President Biden's cognitive decline. The Bidens are back. They gave their first joint TV interview since leaving the White House, and former President Biden had some harsh criticism for his successor, President Trump, calling President Trump's return to power, quote, the worst 100 days any president's ever had. But Biden also took responsibility for the role he played in returning Trump to the White House to a degree. CNN's Arlette Saenz has this look at the Bidens' return to public view.
Former President Joe Biden back in the spotlight and denying claims of cognitive decline while serving in the nation's highest office.
They are wrong. There's nothing to sustain that.
The 82-year-old former president sitting with the host of The View for the entire hour, defending his time in the White House and handling of the 2024 election.
The only reason I got out of the race was because I didn't want to have a divided Democratic Party.
But it was his wife, former First Lady Jill Biden, who offered the most forceful pushback and denied shielding her husband from public view.
I did not create a cocoon around him. I mean, you saw him in the Oval Office. You saw him making speeches. He wasn't hiding somewhere.
Biden's round of interviews this week comes ahead of the release of several books expected to examine Biden's mental acuity and his decision to seek re-election.
Everything we have to do with, look, if we finally beat Medicare.
His disastrous performance against Donald Trump in a CNN debate set off a wave of panic among Democrats, with prominent party leaders privately and publicly urging him to drop out of the 2024 race.
The Democratic Party at large didn't buy into it, but the Democratic leadership and some of the very significant contributors did.
Polling before and after the debate showed a majority of voters, including many Democrats, had doubts about his ability to serve another term, not just defeat Trump. And almost 4 weeks later, Biden ended his campaign.
Should you have withdrawn earlier, given someone else a bigger chance?
I don't think it would have mattered.
The move left his vice president, Kamala Harris, with less than 4 months to wage a campaign, a fact Biden got wrong today.
There were still 6 full months.
Biden says he's not surprised Harris didn't win, blaming her loss on sexism.
I've never seen quite as successful and a consistent campaign undercutting the notion that a woman couldn't lead the country and a woman of mixed race.
But Biden now acknowledging his own role in Trump's return to the White House.
Do you take any responsibility for Trump's reelection?
Yes, I do, because, look, I was in charge and he won. So, I take responsibility.
Now, former President Biden has really laid low since leaving the White House, but we've slowly started to see him speak out, including criticizing his successor, President Donald Trump. One thing that is occupying a lot of Biden's time right now, he said in that interview on The View that he is working on his memoir, something he's been asked to deliver in the coming year. But it all does come at a time when there is a lot of discussion within the Democratic Party about how involved Biden should stay, especially as they are trying to rebuild and look ahead to the next crop of leaders that could lead the party. Jake.
Arlette Saenz, thanks so much. Let's bring in somebody who was there at the table for President Biden's interview on The View, CNN political commentator and View co-host Alyssa Farah-Griffin. Alyssa, congratulations on the interview. You asked President Biden a number of tough questions, and I want to talk about those in more detail. But first, what was your general impression of President Biden, what you heard from him, how he spoke, et cetera?
Listen, this is the second time I've interviewed President Biden now, and the one thing that really struck me from the moment he got to the table was he and his team are clearly very aware that his legacy is being written right now, and they feel and have this strong sense that they need to fight back and shape the narrative. He immediately got into rattling off accomplishments from his term in office, and I think it's in breaking with a lot of past precedent from other presidents who generally let their legacy breathe and kind of go off into the sunset and let someone else come into their role. So there's a very keen sense that if they don't get out there, someone else is going to write their story for them. And Jake, I have to say, like, I directly asked them about books coming out, thinking of your book that's coming out. I think this is something his team is thinking about and concerned about, and they want to be able to shape as much of a narrative in advance to get ahead of stories that you may be breaking in it.
Yeah, the book, Original Sin, comes out May 20th, so that's 12 days, I guess. Let's play part of that exchange.
What is your response to these allegations, or are these sources wrong?
They are wrong. There's nothing to sustain that, number one. You know, one of the things that well, and
Alyssa, you know, one of the things I think is that the people who wrote those books were not in the White House with us.
So interesting observation, as if historians have to live in the White House in order to write about the White House, about any sort of presidency.
And Alex Thompson covered the White House.
Yeah. Alex covered it quite extensively.
That moment, I think, it jumped out to me. I'm having worked in the first Trump administration. It's not just the people that absolute closest to the president, by the way, like a spouse that has an idea of what their general mental health is like every day, their ability to do the job, if they're stumbling in meetings. There's quite a few aides, if given access, who should have access to those things. And part of the question I asked and another colleague did is, was there an effort to kind of keep a tight-knit circle so any of these slip-ups wouldn't get out to the public? And my general sense is this: listen, he is an older man. He acknowledged, look, I would have been 86 had I won a second term. He doesn't shy away from that. He does have slip-ups. That's something we've seen with Joe Biden. But I think this was very much an effort to signal I was fully in control when I was in office. And he kept pointing to, I wouldn't have been able to pass these many things he's proud of if that weren't the case.
Okay. Well, again, the more than 200 people that Alex Thompson and I interviewed, all of them Democrats, all of them supporters of Biden, will get to have their say starting next week. President Biden appeared in two segments.
And Jake, if I...
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. Well, if I could mention, I did ask specifically if, what his relationship was with President President Obama, who was reportedly somebody who behind the scenes was concerned about him. And he didn't answer the question directly. He gave a more generic response before the former First Lady stepped in. And I think that's something the public would really want to know. I mean, the most powerful force in Democratic politics of the last 30 years, Barack Obama, and the role he played in thinking he needed to step in because of his concerns over Joe Biden.
Yeah. The sources for our book were people who liked, if not loved, Joe Biden. But more on that when the book comes out. Alyssa Farah-Griffin, thanks so much. I really appreciate it.
Joining us now to discuss is CNN political analyst Alex Thompson. Alex is the co-author, along with CNN anchor Jake Tapper, of Original Sin, President Biden's Decline, its cover-up, and his disastrous choice to run again. Great to see you, as always. Before we get to the substance of the conversation on The View, I wonder why you think the former president is choosing to speak now, and why that forum of The View.
My reporting is that he wants to actually get out there and respond, not just to Jake and I's book, but you had those previous two books last month where there were also allegations of him not remembering people that he should have known or seeming out of it during debate prep. That came from Ron Klain. And so they want to try to show that, he wasn't in decline, that he could still be president right now, despite many of the feelings in the Democratic Party. Politico reported this morning that they actually brought on another aide to help with their comms in order to sort of push back on this narrative that is continuing to cement as more reporting comes forward.
Yeah, he was asked about these books coming out and these allegations, and he said, quote, "They are wrong. There's nothing to sustain that." And then Dr. Jill Biden, who was alongside him for the interview, chimed in and said, "One of the things I think is that people who wrote those books were not in the White House with us." First of all, why do you think Dr. Biden was alongside him, joining the former president for this interview?
I think that she sees herself as the ultimate defender, the ultimate loyalist, and feels that when he is attacked, that she feels attacked too and wants to be part of that. I remember, one line in her memoir that sticks out is that she essentially said that she always keeps a list and never forgets when someone has slighted her husband, and that's because she doesn't believe in rewarding bad behavior.
Wow, that's fascinating. And I wonder what you make of the argument that these stories, these allegations have no merit. There's nothing to sustain that, the former president said.
Well, I'd say our reporting shows that many people inside the Biden White House disagree. And they do believe that there was a significant decline and a cover up of that, especially in 2023 and 2024.